Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. This is your host, Jim Harshaw, and today I am going to deliver to you the weirdest and most practical podcast that you're ever going to listen to. Here's why. I was talking to a CEO that I was doing some work with, doing some coaching with the other day, and he's a high achiever. He's an Ironman finisher. He's young. He's, like I said, a CEO of a company, and we were talking about the part of Reveal Your Path that where we talk about selective programming. And what I mean by that is selective programming is choosing the programming that goes into your mind. This is your self-talk. This is what you listen to on the radio on the drive to work. This is the people you surround yourself with, the books that you read, etc. The content that goes into your mind, right? How are you programming yourself? And we were talking about this selective programming portion of Reveal Your Path. And the thing that he mentioned, he's like, I feel like I need deselective programming. He's like, I need to stop feeding my brain. And, he's like, I've listened to podcast after podcast and audiobooks and read books. And he's like, sometimes I feel like I just need to turn it off. And I know exactly what he's talking about, because sometimes, I'm a podcast host, but I get podcasted out sometimes, and I'll literally drive for an hour in just complete silence, and I'll think. And when I think, this is one of those productive pauses I talk about. When I think and I come up with specific questions to ask myself, and then I ask myself the follow-up questions. And they're hard questions, challenging questions that really make me think about what I'm doing with my life and with each day and with different projects I have going on. When I do this, I get clarity, and I come out with these real clear action items. So instead of just taking in content, I'm actually thinking about what I've learned and how I can use it to improve my life. And so it's interesting. So I'm like, how do I do that? I'm trying to think out of the box here, right? Like, so how do I help you, the podcast listener, actually get some real value out of this podcast in addition to just listening to these amazing guests? And I get a ton of value just by interviewing these guests. But how do we actually take this and turn this into an action podcast, something where you're not just sitting there passively listening, but you're actively participating? And this is what we're going to do. And you've got to expand your mind for this one, but here's what we're going to do. I've got a series of questions that I'm going to ask you, and they're sort of probing questions, and one builds upon the next, it builds upon the prior one. So the first one is key, and then we're going to keep building with each question after that and reflecting back onto the prior one. So like I said, you have to expand your mind. You have to be willing to think. You have to be willing to do some introspection, and you have to be willing to go through this process, because this is unique. You've never heard a podcast like this before. And so here's what we're going to do. Like I said, I've got this series of questions. I'm going to ask you each question, and I'm going to pause for about 15 seconds. And that's going to give you time to think. Now, if you're sitting down at a desk, that's great. You can actually write out and journal on these questions. Use this almost like a worksheet prompt or a journaling prompt. If you're driving or commuting or working out, which most people are when they listen to my podcasts, you can just do the thinking. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through this process. It's going to be a guided thinking, guided journaling, audio journaling process that we're going to go through here. So, all right, I would love to say, do you got any questions, and then take your questions, but I can't do that right now because we're on a podcast. So here's what we're going to start off with. All right, here we go. Ready? I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to think about it. You're going to ponder it. You're going to come up with your answer, solution, thoughts, feedback. You can say it verbally, or you can just say it in your mind, or you can write it down if you'd like. You can hit the pause button if you need some more time, more than 15 seconds. But that's what we're going to do. Okay, here we go. What is a goal that you would like to achieve in 2017 that would be thrilling? What's a goal that you would like to achieve in 2017 that would be thrilling? Why is that the right goal? Why is that the right goal? Why haven't you achieved it already? Why have you not achieved it already? What resistance externally will you face along the way? What external resistance will you face along the way? What internal resistance will you face along the way? What kind of mindset issues? What kind of self-doubt? What kind of internal resistance will you feel along the way? Who do you know that's already achieved this? Who do you know that has already achieved this? Who do you know that could give you insight into this and help you with this? Who do you know that could give you insight into this and who could help you with this? What resources do you have that would help you make this more achievable? What resources do you already have that you could use that would help make this more achievable? Where's the 80-20 leverage in this? And what I mean by that is, what is the 20% of things that you can do that will give you 80% of the results? What are the few things that you can do that will give you the most results and help you achieve this goal? What could you do that would help you achieve this in half the time? What could you do that would help you achieve this goal in half the time? What would be the first thing that you would have to do to make this happen? What's step one? And it might be talking to someone or sitting down and planning or finding the space to carve out a half an hour and actually sit down and make a plan. But what would be the first thing, the first step that you have to do to make this happen? Step one. What would be the second action item? What's step 2? What would be the second thing that you have to do to make this happen? And finally, what would step 3 be? What would you have to do after that? All right, again, I'm going to go through those real quick. What's a goal that would you like to achieve in 2017 that would be thrilling? And why is that the right goal? Why haven't you achieved it already? What internal and external resistance will you face along the way? Who do you know that's already achieved this? And who do you know that could help give you insight into this and help you achieve this? What resources do you already have that can make this more achievable? What's the 80-20 leverage in this? What could you do that would help you achieve this in half the time? That's a big question. Help you really think about the concrete action items you'd have to execute on. And what would be the first thing you'd have to do to make this happen? What would be the second thing? And what would be the third thing? So there you go. That's a series of questions. It's going to take you deeper and deeper into actually concrete planning for your goals. A lot of people this time of year, they're thinking about goal setting. They're thinking about resolutions. This is a concrete way to do this. If you're on your commute or you're working out or some way listening to this where you can't write it down, that's fine. Use these as thinking prompts. If you're somewhere where you can actually write this down, awesome. Start journaling. Start writing. Take action. I hope this was helpful. If you get value out of these podcasts, I'd love to get a rating and review from you. It helps me in the search rankings, helps this reach more people. So you just go to iTunes, do a search for you can just do a search for my name, Jim Harshaw. You can do a search for Success Through Failure, and grab this. Just click on it. Click the rate and review button, and add a rating and review. I'd very much appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this format. If you did, let me know. Shoot me an email, jim@jimharshawjr.com. Have a great holidays. This should come out right after Christmas. So Merry Christmas if that is your holiday of choice. Otherwise, have a great holidays, and I will be talking to you soon. Until next time, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.